Welcome to Showbiz Chicago, the podcast. I am your host, Michael Roberts, and today I have Anderson Davis with me, who is playing Lieutenant Cable in the new touring production of South Pacific. And for those of you who have not seen South Pacific in years, you must go see this production. I actually saw it on Broadway with Kelly O'Hara, and it's just one of the most amazing revivals, I think, that's been around in 20 years. So welcome, Anderson.
Thank you so much for having me.
And you're filling some big shoes with Matthew Morrison, huh?
I am. It's exciting. I never really got a chance to see Matt play it, but I hope that if at some point he sees it, or I hope I'm doing it justice.
Well, I think we should put you on Glee. And then
yeah. Right. He seems to be doing well for himself. He doesn't need to be doing Lieutenant Cable right now.
So let's talk about your route to South Pacific. How did you hear about the show and the tour and all that kind of good stuff?
When the show opened on Broadway, or when it was casting, when it was auditioning the Broadway show, I was in Les Mis at the time, and I didn't go in for it, so I didn't really know very much about it until they had the auditions for the tour, which was much later, over a year later, and so I just auditioned for it, and I was lucky enough to be cast in it. So I'm really excited to be doing it.
And when was the first time you actually got to see South Pacific, like growing up and stuff?
Actually, it's funny. I was in a production, a very excellent production of South Pacific in high school, where I played Emile Debec, as embarrassing as that is.
My.
Like 16-year-old kid attempting a French accent and a 45-year-old man.
You gotta love high school.
Hopefully all the tapes have been destroyed.
Right. It's just amazing how this show it's so iconic, and the themes, I was talking to David about this when he was here, the themes are so relevant now more than ever.
Absolutely. In fact, maybe you noticed this when you saw it on Broadway, one of the really exciting things about this particular production is that it put back in some of the original script that was taken out for the original production back in the early 50s, because it was just deemed too controversial, especially when it gets into the sort of racial issues of the show. And a lot of those original lines were put back in by Barth and the rest of the creative team. And I think it really points out just how important this story is even today. It's actually, I don't know if it's encouraging or if it's exciting or if it's sort of depressing that it's still so relevant.
Right.
And I think it's a thing in the sense that we still have a very strong reason to do the show, and maybe sort of an intimidating thing in the sense that we still have so much to work our country and in our world.
Absolutely. And how has the audience reaction been?
Oh, it's been so fantastic. Even we just opened last night in Charlotte, and it was just such a wonderful welcome into this city, because we had a packed house and everybody seemed really excited. And one of the exciting things about this show is because it kind of spans generations. Grandmothers and grandparents are here at the show, as well as their granddaughters and grandsons, and we've had some veterans from several different wars throughout history come and see the show and talk to me and the rest of the cast. And obviously, the kids' reaction to it is going to be a lot different from someone who's a little older who has some kind of connection to the original movie or the original show. It's been really amazing to talk to people after the show and their reaction.
Absolutely. And I want to talk about your workout schedule, because you have a beautiful chest. I've noticed your chest. You are shortlisted throughout the production, just like Matthew was. So how are you keeping in shape? What's your secret?
Wait. What's my what?
What's your secret? How do you keep in shape?
Oh, that's hilarious. Of course, when I first got cast for it, I got really self-conscious. I was like, I have to go to the gym. I have to be, ripped or something. But it's funny how I started to realize, well, first of all, one thing that we do that's really helped me is 5 minutes before the show, me and a bunch of the CBs, a bunch of the guys in the show, we do this sort of push-up routine. And I'm really thankful for doing that, because they kind of convinced me to get off my butt and actually do it. So it's getting progressively harder and harder. So I think that kind of maintains at least some kind of shape. But I haven't really been to the gym that much, so don't tell anybody.
Well, you look fantastic, let me tell you.
Oh, Thank you. Wow, that's very nice. I got those perfect push-ups. Have you heard of those things?
I have.
They work really well. I've been using them a lot. So they've been my saving grace, just trying to stay in shape on the road. You don't get that many opportunities to go to the gym.
Absolutely. Touring is one of the most grueling things an actor can do, I think.
It is. I mean, I think you have to really be proactive and not lose your mind. Because it's going from hotel to hotel, and you start to forget where you are. In what city you're in. I have to really make sure that I'm really active. Outside of the show, like really go and try and explore the city and find out what each city has to offer, and find out different places to eat and the different things to explore. I think it keeps me sane.
Exactly. Well, I want to talk about your Carnegie Mellon days because you and I have a couple acquaintances. Yeah, Will Reynolds is a friend of mine, and Sarah Ford.
Right.
And Sarah Ford, who is in Finian's Rainbow right now.
Of course, yeah. Sarah and Will are two really good friends of mine, both incredibly talented people.
Well, and you did the Greenwood Tree.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It was a little bit of a disappointment because, just did an off-Broadway production at NIMS of the Greenwood Tree, and I wasn't able to do it because of South Pacific.
Now, it's an amazing musical, though. He is so talented.
Actually, I mean, speaking of Carnegie Mellon, that's exactly why I think the biggest reason why I really cherished my time there was because I got to work with and be around and just hang out with the most talented group of people. I mean, it was sort of amazing. I take it for granted pretty easily. I think when in that kind of environment and all these people are writing music, performing, and everybody's so incredibly talented, and then you realize from a few years out of school just how amazing that really was.
Absolutely. And they're all working. Everybody I know that went there is working. It's amazing.
It's incredible. I owe a lot of what I'm doing now to where I went to school. Not just because of the teachers and the quality of the education, but also just the network of people that I have now in New York and LA and the friends that I have. I think it really gives you a lot of support.
Absolutely. So let's talk about your childhood when your chest wasn't that lovely. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in the Deep South.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I'm born and raised in Baton Rouge. My parents are both ministers of a small kind of non-denominational Christian church down there. And that was pretty much, you can probably imagine what that kind of childhood was like, and that's pretty much as it was. Wow.
So how did you get interested in musicals? Did you have music around your home and stuff like that?
Yeah. My dad was a musician, and strange as it sounds, he became a minister of rock band and singer, and toured around Louisiana for I think around his 20s, and then I don't know what happened. He found the Lord and changed his mind about his career. But yeah, so I was exposed to music quite a bit, and I played the oboe for about 10 years, almost most of my childhood, like late childhood, middle school, high school, and I thought I was going to do that with my life, play the oboe. And so I played in the pit for a couple of musicals, and that was my first exposure to musicals, was sitting in the pit and looking up at the actors and thinking, wow, that looks really fun. And so I got up the guts to audition for a high school play, like my senior year of high school, and that was the first time I'd ever even attempted to sing or act or dance or do anything in front of people like that. And then I got the bug, as many people have, and just stuck with it.
Wow. And how did you pick Carnegie Mellon? What was that process like for schools?
It was a crazy process. I auditioned mostly for schools for oboe, and then I had a friend who was in high school, who graduated the same high school as me a couple of years before me, to Cincinnati Conservatory of Music, CCM. And so I auditioned there, the only school I auditioned for theater. And I went and I somehow got in, and then I ended up going there to Cincinnati for a year, and then at Cincinnati, I kind of found out about Carnegie Mellon because I was sort of playing catch up because all these other kids knew all about all these theater schools, and I didn't know anything. All I knew was about oboe and music. And so I used that year and then found out about Carnegie Mellon and realized that I kind of wanted to do more of a drama school training and less of a music school training. Mm-hmm. which is what Carnegie Mellon is. It's much more of an acting school than it is a music school. And that really interested me, so I transferred from Cincinnati to Carnegie Mellon, and then I finished out at Carnegie Mellon 4 years later.
Wow. And then you were on Broadway in Les Mis you were in the Lea Salonga reincarnation, weren't you?
Yes, I was. Yeah, Lea Salonga and I did it together for several months.
Yes, I actually just interviewed her. What a lovely woman.
Oh my God, she is such a blast. It's so fun. And I think people would be surprised at just how sort of crazy and wacky she is. Yeah. I really had a good time doing the show with her. She's such a riot. She made me laugh quite a bit.
And talk about a show for endurance. 3.5 hours on the damn turntable, round and round. I don't know how you do it.
Actually, the real endurance of that show for me was the 19 costume changes I had in it.
Damn.
I mean, costume changes are unbelievable in that show. I'll never, ever want to do that many costume changes ever again.
Wow. And you also did Damn Yankees for Encores.
Yeah, I did.
One of my favorite shows, actually.
It was a real blast. Speaking of people, just who are, Sean Hayes,
yes.
which most people know from Will and Grace,
absolutely,
and other stuff. He was just so fun, so much fun, and such a great and kind. One of the nicest celebrities, as far as celebrities go, the nicest people ever. He would pay for us, and he was so kind and generous and us gifts, and was just really humble. And I hope that one day I get to work with him again because he was just such a nice man.
Yeah, he's actually doing a show next year on Broadway, and I can't remember what it is.
Is he?
Yes, he is doing...
out on tour, totally out of the loop. I have no idea.
Yeah, and I'm blanking on what it is, but it's a 60s musical.
I have to go check it out.
Yeah. So, what was the rehearsal process like for South Pacific?
Oh, it was very quick. I think it was about half the time that they had for the Broadway show. We had 3 weeks, and so it was very condensed and very quick. But one of the really, I think, true talents of Bartlett Sher is that in 3 weeks he was able to keep us from feeling like we were just replacing a Broadway show, like we were just redoing or recreating the first production. He really made us feel like we were in a completely new show with a completely new group of people and doing it our own very individual and unique ways. I don't know exactly how he did that in such a short amount of time, but there was not a single moment where I felt like, Bart was trying to get me to do what Matt did,
Right. Is he a hands-on director for an actor, or does he let an actor have his space?
Wait, say that one more time.
Is he a hands-on director, or will he let his...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he rarely sits down in his chair. He's always up and standing up with us, and sometimes even acting it with us. He's very, very hands-on, and he's just very thorough, and I think really has a talent for how to speak to actors. I think it's hard to describe, really, when you find a director who really knows how to speak to an actor.
Right.
It's really more like he knows what to say that will get what he wants without making you feel like he's just telling you what it is, and you just have to sort of do it like you're some kind of puppet. You never feel like a puppet. You feel sort of like you're in a creative process.
What was the hardest thing about Lieutenant Cable for you as an actor to understand or to get down?
I think maybe one of the most difficult parts was where Lieutenant Cable has come from. I mean, one of the tricky parts is the part of Lieutenant Cable in many ways is a very underwritten part. I mean, he kind of shows up. You get all this information in a very quick period of time. He falls in love instantly with this young Tonkinese girl. There's a lot of things that happen very, very quickly, without a lot of explanation.
Right.
So you have to fill that with a lot of meaning and a lot of backstory. I mean, one of the things that Bart and I talked about was where has Cable come from, and he's come from Guadalcanal, one of the most violent and lethal parts of the war. He came from potentially seeing fellow soldiers killed, and not a lot of that is actually in the writing. So as an actor, you have to really be specific about where has Cable come from when he shows up on this island where all these Seabees are and these beautiful women and all of these things that he hasn't seen before. So a lot of it is filling in the gaps of the character and of the writing because they really don't give you a whole lot.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that was probably one of the biggest challenges, is to be really specific of where it has come from.
You know, I never even thought about that, but you're right. That character is like just thrust on the stage with really no forewarning, and he just almost just like takes over the show.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I really don't even enter the show until at least a half hour into it.
Right.
And then, but once you're on, a lot of things happen.
I know.
Very, very quickly. And I think to keep it from looking, I don't know what the word would be, just totally false. I think you have to really commit, and you have to really be specific about why are these things happening so quickly, you know?
How has your character changed, like from rehearsal to you hit the stage?
Oh, yeah. I mean, even from now we're in Charlotte, and in Raleigh it was slightly different. I feel like it's always changing, and maybe most specifically, let's see, I think that I'm really talking about, you know, where he's come from and trying to be really specific about. I tried to do even more research about what the time period was like. This kid who's come from Princeton, a Princeton graduate from a very high-class family in Philadelphia, and maybe just change in the sense of like really being really clear where, you know, why he's different from these kind of begrudging sleepies who are just sitting around the beach doing nothing, and his attitude and opinion about those guys. You know, I feel like he probably looked down on them quite a bit, considering like where he's come from and what he's done and how important he thinks he is. You know,
exactly. Yeah.
So maybe it's changed a lot in the sense that he's become, I don't know, a little bit more of a jerk. at least at first, you know. I think it's easy to want to be liked. I think an actor, you know, as an actor, you always want the audience to really like you. You know, I don't know, maybe insecurities or something.
Right.
But you have to resist that sometimes, because that's not what the character is about. At least when he first shows up. When he first shows up, he's like a real dick. You know.
Exactly.
And because he's got a job to do, and he feels like these guys are just sitting on their ass, not doing anything, and he has a real attitude problem, you know.
Man.
So I think really allowing myself to really go there has been what it probably has changed the most.
Well, all you need to do is when the guys are singing "There's Nothing Like a Dame," just say, "Guys, that's the gayest song I've ever heard." Yeah.
Well, the problem is I can't say gayest, because back then the word gay meant something very different.
Oh, yeah,
I say in my song, I say, "Gayer than laughter are you?"
That's true. Well, then just call them homosexuals and see what happens.
There you go.
Man. So how long are you going to be touring, Anderson?
Well, you know, it's kind of up in the air. I mean, I'm contracted, you know, for almost a year, I guess. But you know, it's hard to know really how long I'm going to be here, and things always change. You know, as an actor, you very rarely know what you're going to be doing, you know, 3 months from now.
Right.
But I hope to be here for at least, you know, several months.
Wow. And what other cities do you have coming up? I know you're going to be in Chicago, and
yeah, and then we have, let's see, we're going to be in Dallas, we're going to be in Florida, Seattle coming up soon. Yeah, we're going to be all over the place. Eventually we'll end up in LA for 2.5 months.
Oh, that'll be nice.
yeah, it'll be nice. You know, it's very varied as far as how long we city. Sometimes it's just a week, sometimes it's a few months.
Right. I know. Well, I think after this you need to go into Miss Saigon, because it's kind of like a natural flow with your character.
It definitely is. I don't know. I think maybe after this show I'll have my fill of this kind of, you know, go to this exotic place and find this exotic woman and fall in love, and then there's all these problems.
Right. So what is your dream part, Anderson? What is your dream musical if you could be in one?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I get asked that a lot, and the best answer I can ever think of, because obviously I have a lot of musicals that I love, but what I'd really love to do most, if I had to pick, is to work on something new. You know, I think it's so rare as for an actor to really get to create a role, or to get to work on something brand new with the people who wrote it, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, a writer like Adam Gettle, as far as musically, who, you know, wrote The Light in the Piazza, which Bart actually worked on, is one of the most beautiful musicals that I've seen in a really, really long time. And really one of the reasons why I was really excited to work with Bartlett was because he had worked on that show, and I loved it so much. So either that show, or would be the
or a Will Reynolds. I think Will could write something for you.
Hey, you listen. I am constantly, the friends that I have, and as talented as they are, like I'm sure at some point we're going to be able to get together and create something really fantastic. I really hope that happens soon.
Man, and I am in love with Next to Normal. It is like my new passion.
Are you? See, I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's insane. It's insane, Anderson. It is
That's
just
so great.
Amazing.
It's so exciting when I hear that a brand new musical, like a musical that isn't just created from a movie or some Disney show or whatever, that something brand new is really doing well. That's really exciting.
Yeah, Alice Ripley is just one of the most amazing actresses out there right now.
I actually was at a show with Alice Ripley, and I got to make out with Alice Ripley every night.
Oh, hot! What show?
I played the lover in Tommy, the Who's Tommy.
Oh.
And at Pittsburgh CLO, it was one of the first jobs I ever did. I was in college, just a little kid, like a 20-year-old kid, and then I show up at this show, and they're like, "Okay, you play the lover who gets to make out with Alice Ripley every night." It's
Sweet.
Just about peeing my pants.
Sweet.
I was like, "No, please." It's really sweet and really easy to work with, and she made it really easy for a little kid who was like freaking out.
Man. Well, I cannot wait to meet you here in Chicago. Tickets are selling like hotcakes, from what I understand.
Oh, good. That's good. Always really exciting when there's a lot of people in the house. It makes it a lot more fun for us,
Absolutely. And I do want to say that they're actually traveling with the full orchestra for this production. So.
Well, we don't travel. We
you
have
hire
about 4 or 5 musicians that travel with us, and then in each city we pick up the rest of 20 musicians in each city.
Right, but it's not scaled down or anything. It's going to be the exact.
Oh no, it's a full size. Yeah, it's 25 pieces. It's big.
Wow, that's fantastic. Fantastic. So
yeah, that's actually one of the most exciting parts about it for me. It's very rare to be able to sing with that size of an orchestra, because nowadays they're always trying to pare it down to a small piece band.
Absolutely. Yeah, and just hearing the Rajdan and Hammerstein score with all the strings is just.
It's amazing. I mean, it really makes you realize just what geniuses they really were when you sit down and listen to those orchestrations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, back then, that's what the orchestras were. I mean,
I know. It's really unfortunate that people forget that how important the music is in musicals.
I know. Yeah. Some of these shows that are touring right now, it's like 3 keyboards, and they're like national tours. I'm like, you're kidding me with this.
And it's funny because people really react to these orchestras. I mean, it's not like people who don't have, a degree in music can't tell that there's a huge real orchestra. I mean, I think anybody who has no musical experience whatsoever can still feel it. They can feel that energy of having a big orchestra and then even realize why they're enjoying it so much. But I bet you if you could tell them, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I guess it is because there's this huge 25-piece orchestra that's playing."
Absolutely. And it's just an homage to a time that was.
Absolutely.
That was.
It really is. It really is. And it really gives it a time period, You can really kind of feel like you're falling back into another time as soon as that starts,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this was a pleasure, Anderson. I can't wait to see you in South Pacific, which opens at the Rosemont Theater on November 24th through the 29th. So you're here for Thanksgiving, huh?
Wait, say that again?
You're here for Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm actually, Chicago is one of the few major cities in the United States that I have not visited, so I'm really excited.
Oh, we're going out.
All right, let's do it.
We are going out, honey.
All right, I'm excited. You have to show me the good spots in Chicago.
I will. Your liver will never be the same.
Right, I'm getting excited.
You got it. So, well, thank you so much. And
thank you. I really appreciate it.
It's a joy. And say hello to everybody at Carnegie Mellon for me.
All right, I will.
Thanks, Anderson.
Okay, bye-bye.